I am Tom Anderson, and I am Failing and Famous, and today I'm honored to have a legend of Hollywood.
Jesus Christ, this is not going well. Start over.
It's already been derailed.
Start over. Why don't you say my name is Tom, and I would call it I'm almost famous.
Yeah. All right, I'm Tom, and I am almost famous. I have with me today George Schlatter, who is a Hollywood legend and an award-winning producer and director, and it is a true honor. Thank you so much for doing this.
Well, I'm delighted to be here in the bright sunlight on a Saturday morning. Wow, this is a thrill. This is the
January in LA.
But just don't use the word legend.
No legend.
No legend. I was I was a veteran for a while, then a legend, then. But legend sounds like it's almost over.
Oh, okay. All right.
Larry King is a legend.
An aspiration.
That's right. And he, okay. So anyhow, what are you doing? How old are you? 9?
Mentally, yes.
That tie is older than you are. What are you doing on a palm tree in the middle of a parking lot? What kind of stimulants are you using?
Apparently not enough.
No, I think this is the result of heavy drug overdose.
Should I back off on my medication?
I would back off on the medication, and I would try to find a parking place where you're not going to get arrested.
Well, then that takes all the fun out of it.
Cheer up.
Well, George,
I took a Rickles pill. I'm sorry. This is a great idea you have here.
Well, I appreciate that. Coming from you, that's awesome.
Well, I've been wrong before.
Well, I'll take it anyway.
Now, seriously, tell me the truth. What are you going to do with this? Blackmail me or what?
Yeah, pretty much. This is going in the vault, and then this is a very intricate movie pitch. I have another idea, so if you don't greenlight that, then this is going out.
Oh, well, this, how can you miss with this? I mean, talking to dirty old men in the middle of a parking lot on Saturday morning under a palm tree. I don't see how it can miss.
It's a win-win. I should have like a margarita dispenser on the tree.
Right. You should have a hula dancer under there.
Well, I'm working on it.
There's Justin Bieber now. Okay. So now, what are you talking to people about?
Well, I wanted to talk to you about just everything you've done in the industry. How did you get started in...
How long and how much time you got? How did I get started?
Yeah, how'd you get started in the industry?
I was born in Birmingham, Alabama, and they immediately shipped me out because I announced that the only thing wrong with Birmingham is when you leave Birmingham, you're still in Alabama. Anyhow, we then moved around a lot. My mother was a concert violinist. My aunt was a concert pianist. I studied music, most of my early life.
Okay.
And I was in a piano recital and never got to the second ending, so I kept playing it over and over and over again. So my mother decided that wasn't a career for me. So anyhow,
you could have done ringtones.
Sure. Then I I studied music and football, and I failed at both. And then I came to California actually to go with a road show. I was with the St. Louis Municipal Opera. It was an outdoor theater, big outdoor, and came to California to go with a road show, got a throat infection, and I was out of work. So I got a job as a greeter at the Sapphire Room at Slauson and Crenshaw. It's on the edge of Watts.
All right.
I was a white greeter in an all-black nightclub. Now, you understand. Same to you. Anyhow, from there, I through a series of misadventures, Mexican food.
Wait, can I go back really quick? You were a white greeter at an all.
Yeah, I was a bouncer, but my wife hated that, so she said, never say that again. So I then announced that I had been an executive in charge of emergency departures. She said, still sounds like a bouncer. So anyway, through a series of misadventures, I became got a job booking the shows at Ciro's on the Sunset Strip, which is 100 years ago, but it was a very famous nightclub.
All right.
And then I also booked the shows at the Frontier Hotel in Vegas. And when Dinah Shore went to an hour show on NBC, I got a job hiring the guest stars for her show. Now that's a span of a lot of years, because when I started, there was nothing but Brontosaurus rex roaming around through glaciers. But anyhow, that's how I got into television with Dinah Shore. That's the most boring story I ever heard.
That's not boring, that's incredible.
Well, it's okay, some of it's true.
right. Well, obviously, George Schlatter is.
But first of all, if this is going to work, okay, and I would never be critical. However, it's George Schlatter. Now, I'm not sensitive. That's all right. No. It's a mistake that stupid people have made before. Would you cheer up a little bit?
All right, Schlatter.
But I'm telling you, this is not working. I'm telling you, this poor guy's going to trash this whole thing. He's going to run the Larry King show over and over and over again.
God. George Schlatter
Yes.
is synonymous with laughing, and
Yes, yes.
it tied together. Tell me how that came about. That was such an odd.
Actually, laughing wasn't the first thing I did. I had done specials, and I did the Dinah Shore Chevy Show series. I did the Judy Garland series. I did the series with Steve Lawrence. So I had done a lot of television and specials and with Danny Thomas and so forth. So then I wanted to do an all-comedy show. And eventually, through a series of misadventures, I convinced NBC to let me do one show my way. They wanted me to do a show for them. I said, I'll do that if you do mine.
Okay.
So anyway, I sold them the idea of doing a completely different show. They didn't realize they'd said okay. Then when we arrived, we started doing this crazy thing.
Right.
And, they put it on after the Miss America contest because they had nothing to put in there, so it was really cannon fodder. And it was just, I found a bunch of people that I thought were funny, and at that point I was doing variety, and variety was all the same. People came in, they said hello, a singer did an opening number, then introduced my guest star tonight, and they chit-chat. The guest star would do a song,
right.
Then they'd sit on two stools and talk, and then they'd do a duet, and then you go to commercial. And that was variety television. And I just thought there must be something else there. So the network agreed to let me try one show my way. And when they saw it, they were mortified. They said, this is not a television show. I said, it's not a normal television show. They said, well, you have to slow it down. So I said, of course. And we took 3 minutes out and sped it up. And they didn't really even mean to air it. It aired like at 10 o'clock at night. And it didn't do much because there was nobody in the show anybody heard of. Rowan Martin did a great nightclub act, but that was it. And the rest of the cast, nobody had ever heard of them. And
there was no auditions. You just pulled these people in.
Yeah. What happened was these are people that I'd met that I wanted, so I hired them. At that point, now you have to have a big meeting and a committee, and they all vote on it and whatever. Could never be done today. They'd never get through the auditions because they were not guest stars. You know, Artie Johnson doing a German.
Sure.
Judy Carn getting hit with water, Goldie Hawn running around half naked with body paint all over,
right.
Living tattoos, and Henry Gibson doing poems, and Barbara Feldon did a horny Girl Scout mistress, and it was all crazy little things with crazy little people who had never really made it. They were they were not variety performers or stand-up comics. They were young character people. So we got it on the air, and so then they had nothing to put on opposite Lucille Ball. Lucille Ball was killing them every Monday night.
Sure.
So they agreed to put this on just till they could get something ready to put on opposite Lucy. And it went on, and then it kind of kicked.
No, I had heard, and we don't have to get into this if you don't want to, but I heard when you, maybe I have this out of context, but when you showed the executives the edited version, it was just all mishmash.
Yes.
And they're like, what the hell is this?
That's right.
And you called it Comedy Verde.
Yeah, they said, this is not a television show. And they said, you have to, this is just crazy. And I said, right. They said, but we can't air this, it's not television. I said, it's the newest thing in Europe. All over Europe, they're now doing Comedy Verte. And they said, hey, Freddie, you know what Comedy Verte is? Erwin Siegelstein said, oh yeah, I made it up. How did he ever hear of it? And so they put it on, calling it Comedy Verte. And it went on, it did nothing. Excuse me. Nobody'd heard of the people, and it was a totally new experience, and,
right.
And we'd say, we'll be right back after this. We'd go to black, we'd come back up and say, see, we told you we'd be right back. And the network was spinning around saying, you can't do this. Same to you, fella. And so nothing happened for about 3 weeks, and then Sammy Davis came in, and we came up with a Here Come the Judge thing. And can you cut that out?
I think so.
I quit smoking years ago, but
it's still with you.
So but anyhow, Sammy Davis came in and did the "Here Come the Judge" thing, and the next morning when the Supreme Court justices came in the room, somebody in the back of the hall said, "Here come the judge," and it cracked up, and they got a big laugh at the Supreme Court, which at that point was also kind of an innovation. But then it took off, and from there it never looked back.
I love that skit, by the way. They flip a coin to determine the
Oh yeah, and they put it on the air reluctantly because they were getting no rating at all opposite Lucy. And it went on and nothing happened. But by the time we got into, we gotta get a room. By the time we got into the Sammy Davis thing, it started to take off. And once it took off, then it was a phenomenon.
It was incredible. It had like half the entire viewing public.
It had a 50 share.
That's incredible.
Oh,
I mean, the Super Bowl doesn't get that.
But I mean, with those numbers, I mean, I'm arrogant now. But boy, when I was 50 years ago, with a 50 share, stop it. We did anything we wanted to do. We did the first show, we did the third week, they were canceled in Seattle. The guy in Seattle said, "I'm not gonna air this." So the network said, "Now what are you gonna do?" I said, "I'm gonna go up and do a salute to Seattle." So I put a crew on the plane, and the guy in Seattle said, "What?" I said, "I'm gonna do a tribute to this guy with the taste and the class to get this trash off the air." And we were back on the air by the time we got on the plane. So I mean, it was an adventure. Could never happen today.
No, I can't imagine. Everything is so, like, no one takes risks anymore.
Well, they do, but their idea of risk is how many different ways to use the F word. You know, that's a risk, you know, and there's so much more to do.
Sure.
You know, there's so much more to talk about. I mean, comedy's in a place right now with the vulgarity, you know, and I mean, you know, I wear more clothes than that to shower.
Sure.
And so, but that's great. I mean, I love that, but there's no there, you know?
Right.
And yet it's such a rich time. You've got Jon Stewart, you got Stephen Colbert, you got Bill Maher, you got Chelsea Handler, you got all of these people. So it's going to happen. We're at a time. When Laughing went on the air in 1967, we were in the middle of an unpopular war. We had a president that was not that popular. We had all kinds of strife. We had racial tension. We had election tension. The same problem you have now. So
Exactly.
it's such a rich time now to do something funny, you know?
Sure.
And back then we had Nixon. Today you got Huckabee. Come on. You want Rich Soft for Huckabee? This brain donor standing up saying the problem with women is they've got to learn to control their libido. I've got a suggestion what he should do with his libido, but he should do it on himself. But what happened is he generated a whole force field of energy where we're going to do a salute to schmucks to go on the air and say that. Right. You know, I mean, that's dumber than limbo. More obscene than, you know. Well, anyway, so why am I going to get in trouble with that? They'll sue me again.
Well, whatever, you know.
But it's such a rich time for comedy.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad that you said that.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like it's such
the
a
possibilities are endless.
But
you've got Sean Hannity, you got Rush Limbaugh, that balloon buffoon,
sure,
right?
Absolutely.
And you got, oh boy, some of these, Laura Ingraham, and those people are wonderful spotters.
Yeah, there's
no, they
no
really are.
of
And you've got John Boner. That's terrific, terrific possibilities.
Yeah, and what a apropos name for that, isn't it? Boy.
And so it's a great time for comedy, you know. I wish I were your age and I'd come back and sock it to them again. It's going to happen. See, out of adversity, out of troubled times comes great comedy. Out of World War II, it was in the papers. Did you read about it? Yeah. Out of that came a generation of that Sinatra and all of that stuff came out of that in the Roaring 20s. Right now, you're on the brink of a time when we can be funny again.
Well, that's good news.
Any of this make any sense at all?
It does, in fact, and it gives me hope for the
I think
future.
You ought to roll tape now.
Should we?
Are you recording any of this?
No, this was just the...
I know. It's the only time I've ever rehearsed.
Well, let me wrap up by asking, what is it that you want to be remembered for?
This interview.
This is it.
This is it.
The pinnacle.
This will be it. This is as far as I can soar.
Cherry is on the top.
I mean, I'll be for being there.
For being.
I want to live to be 100. George Burns said, to get to live to be 100, you get to 99 and then you stay warm. Well, we're sitting here in the sun, so it looks like
In January.
I'm January. But do you have a towel?
Yeah, no kidding. It's a
Do you have everybody? I'll confess to anything. Starlight, Starbright. This is a wonderful experience.
I think I need production.
You think there's any way you can get a regular job?
I don't know. The economy's
I mean,
pretty bad.
seriously, to be driving around through traffic with a palm tree, looking for old guys to talk to.
I just flag anyone down. Whatever.
Can you get a date? Are you married?
I am.
You are. How's
Well,
it
I
going?
have a living girlfriend. Might as well be.
I didn't ask you that. Are you married?
No, not married.
So you're soiling some poor young lady.
Defiling.
When she says, "What do you do for a living?" I drive around with a palm tree, looking for some aging schmuck to lie to.
Well, I don't phrase it exactly. I pitch it a little bit better than that. It's more comedy.
Does she know what you do
She
for a
does.
non-living?
Yeah, we live together. But she
That's
was
not
with
the
me back
question.
in my days.
What?
I used to be the CEO of a corporation and
What kind of corporation?
it's a merchant bank.
Really?
Yeah, and my background's
They
finance.
won't let you in a bank today. I figured you maybe had a manufacturing company making whoopee cushions or something.
No, I'm looking into that though.
That's a good idea for you. Well, cheer up. I wish I'd had this guy in the audience when I was doing comedy shows. Anyhow, no, I think this is wonderful. I think you're a very bright, reasonably attractive young man
Well, I
with a great
appreciate that.
future. Not in this business,
Not
but
in this particular business, but somewhere.
I think this is going to work. What do you think,
I
bud?
think so. Shake hands and we're out the door.
What?
Shake hands and we're out the door. Thank you. Sign off, Tom.
That's it. Bud's cutting us. He's wrapping it.
Can I make one suggestion? Why don't you go fuck yourself?
Good idea. Let that be the opening shot.
Now, you can cut this. You're not going to. You have an editor at all?
I'm it.
What are you going to cut
I'm doing
this?
everything.
Cut this with a hatchet.
Hatchet, exactly.
You're a good guy, and I think this is going to work. And I think it's an interesting idea and a way to con people into appearing for nothing.
Exactly.
That's the way I got started.
I just got to figure out how to get paid for it. But we'll work on that.
Now.
I'm getting the cart before the horse there.
No, I mean they're desperate for ideas. They're desperate for new forms. They're desperate for a way to,
I got no shortage of ideas. We're lucky this is the only thing I built. I had the whole other thing going on. Had a
What
water
was the
slide
other
on
thing?
it. Water slide.
I think it's great though. You're living with a woman, and you're running around through traffic with a sofa.
She is horribly supportive of this. I can't believe it.
She is.
Yes.
Has she been on this yet?
She has. Well, not in the
How did that
biblical
go?
sense. But I did buy that from Craigslist, so I'm sure there's been others.
You did.
I have not taken a black light to it.
Does Craig know about it? This does look like a whorehouse in a low rent district.
That's what I was going for.
Bud, I'll get you for this.
I know you do. We're ready when you are. Shake hands
All
on
right.
camera and sign off.
George,
All right, babe.
pleasure. Thank you very much.
And
It
if this
really,
doesn't work, we'll do something else.
I would love that.
Did
but
you expected a serious interview, right?
No, not at all. There's
Good.
nothing about that that's serious. Look at these are pool noodles, for God's sakes. There's nothing about this that's serious.
It looks like a dildo out of a gay bar.
That's where I got my inspiration.
Well, if she sees that, she's gonna leave you. Bud,
We're ready. Watch the first step. It's a son of a bitch.
It's a doozy. Let me get
I mean, no, that's not what you got out of Larry, is it?
No, but it was. That's exactly. That's exactly what I was hoping for. I don't want anything serious. I want to laugh. If I can